Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Careers Out There. I'm your host Mark Luber and we are helping you find a career that fits. Today we're looking at careers in alternative medicine. And by that I don't mean sitting around drinking Jack Daniels all day. I mean holistic healthcare. Now you might not be familiar with holistic healthcare, but I'll bet you've heard of acupuncture, massage therapy, yoga, and Chinese medicine. Do you know that this has become more than $1 billion a year business in America? It's true, in rapidly increasing numbers, people are bailing on the traditional Western medicine that we're all used to, and they're pursuing alternatives to fix aches and pains and fertility issues and all kinds of problems. The cool thing about holistic health careers is that you could focus on individual things like yoga instruction, massage therapy, being a licensed acupuncturist, or you could combine all the things into one big, broad Chinese medicine practice. That's what our guest today does. Her name's Sarah Vosen. She's from Minneapolis, but now she lives in Santa Monica, California. In our interview, Sarah explains what it's like to have a career in holistic health. She talks about the kind of education that you need, the certifications that you need, the kind of money you can make, a typical day, some keys to success, and a lot more. You're going to see we had some technical issues with this video. When we were using Skype, there was some weird thing going on where Sarah's lips were moving, but you can't even really tell that they're moving. You just hear her voice. And the voice came out great. It just looks a little weird, like an old kung fu movie. So I was kind of distracted when we did the interview. It wasn't totally on my game, but the information's there, so I hope you guys enjoy it. And you know what? Share your feedback. Let us know. Put your feedback in the comments section below the video, and let us know if we're getting you the information you need so you can decide if this is the right kind of career path for you. All right, let's meet Sarah. Now, some people might be looking at you and thinking, I don't get it. She doesn't look Chinese to me. What's this white girl from Minnesota doing practicing Chinese medicine? What drove you to this instead of Western medicine?
Oh, that's funny. I would have thought the same thing about myself probably when I was growing up in Minnesota. I didn't know that there were any other styles of medicine outside of Western medicine when I was growing up in Minnesota. I had some health experiences that through those experiences, I came up with the decision that I definitely didn't want to do Western medicine, even though I very much enjoyed science, just because I didn't enjoy the process, and I didn't feel like doctors really ever helped me. And then, while I was going to school at the University of Wisconsin, I was introduced to a line of Chinese herbal whole food products, so different supplements that you eat and drink and I was kind of like, all right, I'll try them, whatever, I'll eat this and drink this in substitute for some of my food. And I started to feel a whole lot better. And I was only 19 and I didn't know that I felt bad until I felt really, really good. And that sparked my interest and made me think, hold on a second, did you say Chinese medicine? What is Chinese medicine? So that sparked my curiosity and I started doing some online research and read about what Chinese medicine was and a variety of other complementary and alternative medicine practices. And when I read about acupuncture and Chinese medicine as a whole, for some reason, it just sounded like coming home. And I knew that that's what I really wanted to do with myself.
That's great. And clearly, since you had to go through pre-med classes at a university here,
Yeah.
you're a bright person. You're not some crazy hippie. So there's probably a lot of people watching thinking, this is some path for a bunch of crazy hippies.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it takes a person who has a lot of ambition and desire to do what this field does. I mean, yeah, I did 4 years of undergrad. I did 4 years of the master's degree. I took several exams. I've had to put in a lot of effort in order to get where I am today. It was not like I snapped my fingers or somebody suddenly told me, you can go heal people today. Go for it. I'm definitely an educated person and I continue to study and I continue to educate myself to help financiers and understand how I can help people more.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And since we're on the topic of hippies, just for the record, since we were talking about this earlier, because I had mentioned that the camera angle it's making your eyes look a certain way, and you said that people ask if you're stoned. For the record, you are not stoned, in case anyone is thinking, since we're on the topic of, so we are a drug-free program here, Careers Out There, family-friendly.
And enjoying life.
So, can you explain for us the main difference between Chinese medicine and Western medicine?
I would say that the main difference between Chinese medicine and Western medicine is that Chinese medicine really steps back and looks at the whole picture and looks at the whole body holistically. So we're very much interested in how all of the systems of the body are working together. And if one is out of sync with the others, we understand why and how to put everything back together and get them working synergistically. Whereas Western medicine, often they look deeper and deeper and look at smaller and smaller pieces and often forget to step back and take a look at the whole body.
So then, is this like the theory of the stress that I'm creating in my life from work is what's making my body hurt? That kind of thing?
Definitely. We're looking at how all environmental factors or external factors outside of your body are affecting your internal health.
So how does that happen? Tell us what you actually do as a practitioner of holistic medicine.
So in the course of a treatment, when somebody comes to me with some specific symptoms that they're experiencing that they don't want to experience anymore, I acquire information not only about those symptoms, but also about all of their systems in their body. So if somebody's coming to me because they're having trouble sleeping, I don't just talk to them about their sleep. I also talk to them about their energy, their digestion, their other systems, the urinary, bowel, everything. So I want to look at how your whole body's working and how those other systems are affecting your sleep. And then once I decide what the diagnosis is for you, then we choose what tools, what methods of treatment are best for your condition. So perhaps acupuncture would be better. Sometimes herbs and supplements are better. Sometimes we focus on nutrition. Sometimes it's more about changing your lifestyle. And more often than not, it's really all of those things that end up to be useful. But certain conditions are more suited for different tools. So, we would give you a treatment and send you on your way, send you home with some homework or some herbs or some different things to work with in your lifestyle that complement the treatment. And then from there, usually you have a course of treatments, say 6 or 10 treatments, and then a reevaluation, a re-diagnosis, and then decide from there where we go. More often than not, people are coming with symptoms that they've had for quite a while or have been in development over a course of time. And in those cases, it takes longer to treat and help and get your body back in balance. So depending on what we're treating, different lengths of treatment are necessary. So it's definitely a process. If you're really truly healing something, it takes quite a while.
So in the course of a
Sometimes it's just one treatment. Sometimes it's,
multiple.
Over a lifetime, you work with somebody in their healing process. And eventually, hopefully preventatively, because in one of the other ways that Chinese medicine is different than Western medicine is that we come up from a preventative medicine perspective. We really truly believe that it's best to stay healthy rather than waiting until you are so out of alignment that you're sick and need to get healthy again.
And in the course of a treatment, let's say I come in for a treatment and you determine this is wrong or that's wrong, is it then a matter of acupuncture being done at the session and herbs or something like medicine that I would be given at the appointment and I would take them home and take them twice a day or just like any Advil or other medication?
Yeah, usually either acupuncture or massage or a specific modality that I could help you with would happen in the office. And then herbs or supplements are taken regularly outside at home or, in the rest of your life between treatments. So they're supplementary and complementary to the treatments that we do in the office.
Okay. And explain what acupuncture is, because a lot of people outside of California may not be that familiar with it, and don't know much about it. So if you could explain a little bit about acupuncture.
Acupuncture is the stimulation of acupuncture points using hair fine sterile needles. So the reason why we do that is each of our systems, digestive, circulatory, urinary, detox system, all of the systems, they have specific organs that are the main organs of that system. And Chinese medicine has mapped a system of meridians on the body that are extensions of those organs. So there's meridians running up and down your whole body, arms, legs, to your fingers and toes, and there's points along those meridians that over time were found to have certain effects on the body. So we use needles to stimulate those points that send messages to the body. And the point of those messages, the point of the diagnosis, is to decide what needs to happen to bring the body back into balance. Because if you have balance, you have optimal health and well-being. So we use those points that have those certain effects in order to tell the body what to do to go back into balance.
And the herbs are what? They're naturally grown things that you prescribe? How to explain the herbs?
So herbal medicine means using plants, animals, minerals, sometimes various substances found in nature, grown in nature, that also produce a specific effect. So most pharmaceutical drugs are founded actually in herbal medicine. And the difference is that they take the active ingredient from a single herb and they reproduce that chemical compound in a lab. So they're giving you just the active ingredient of a plant to produce a certain effect. And herbs are more beneficial and have less side effects on the body because they work with each other in order to prevent side effects from happening while still giving you the benefits of that active ingredient. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And in my research yesterday on reading about herbs, it was talking about that the combination of the herbs as opposed to one herb at a time is really what makes the magic happen.
It's really important to have that combination. I was just actually explaining this to my Chinese medicine class this morning. You may have heard that eating a whole orange is much healthier for you and more bioavailable for the body, which means that your body can use the nutrients better from an orange rather than taking a vitamin C supplement. And that's the same reason why herbs work better than taking a pharmaceutical drug, and also with less side effects. Because when you have just the active ingredient, it's forcing an action on the body, and the repercussions of that action are kind of just there. There's nothing to correct that. But when you have an herbal formula, you have herbs put together specifically for a reason that will counteract any negative effects of the single herb or the active ingredient. So the herbal formula itself is balanced, and that helps the body bring the body into balance without so many side effects.
That makes sense. So now with these herbs, just so people who are watching know that you're not just making some crazy concoction of a bunch of herbs and throwing them at people. This is based on Chinese medicine, which has been around for thousands of years, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, starting a few thousand years ago, people were studying the effects of these herbs. And although they didn't have labs that were able to print out chemical compounds and what they were made of, they would take the herbs and really meditate and feel what was happening in their body. So they would understand that when they took an herb, it cooled their body temperature. Or if they took an herb, they felt the effects in their head versus in their feet. So it was about really paying attention to what those herbs did, and in human research subjects, really, on themselves, and then understood the combinations after they understood the single herbs, and the formulas themselves have evolved greatly over thousands of years.
So Walk us through then a typical day. You've explained kind of what happens in a session. What's a typical day in the life of a holistic health practitioner?
Okay, and let's see. In a typical day, for me, I have clinic hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So, I get myself ready and I go to my clinic and I set up my room, which means I've got a massage table set up and I use sheets to cover them up. I set up my needles. I've got alcohol to sterilize. I've got, different massage oils. I've got a biohazard container to make sure I put the needles away and in proper disposal. Um, so once I'm set up, I see patients usually in 1 hour or 90-minute time slots are most common, I would say, for acupuncture and or massage. And in that time, I'll see 5 or 6 people in a day most often. As a part of my day, I often do some kind of physical practice that allows me to feel good so that my chi and my body is functioning in a balanced way so that while I'm facilitating a treatment, I don't get in the way of their healing or, my energy supports that rather than my stress entering the room and affecting them.
Right, right, right. And what's the most fun or rewarding part of what you do?
I think the most fun and rewarding part of what I do is really seeing the effect that my work has on people. I mean, for the most part, I'm helping people get out of pain or, you know, reduce or relieve symptoms that are really getting in the way of their life. So when they leave from seeing me, they more often than not have a smile on their face and they're just more relaxed in general. And that warms my heart.
What is the main reason that they're coming? Is it a specific type of pain?
People come for a variety of reasons, actually. More often than not, they're coming because of something that they don't like that's happening to them, whether it's a pain in their body or, something disrupting their life, like they're not sleeping well or they have digestive problems or, they're trying to get pregnant and they're having fertility issues. There's a variety of things that I can help them with. Pretty much, really, the scope of Chinese medicine is very wide and very broad. And since we're working to get the body back in balance so it's functioning as optimal as it knows how to, I can treat anything. I can really treat anything that walks in the door. If somebody's experiencing something that they don't like and it's because something's not quite right in their body, I can help them.
And do you often get repeat visitors who come for other symptoms? So if someone's been treated for one symptom and then maybe a year later they have another issue going on, they come back for a different kind of treatment?
Yeah, that does happen. And I think it's important for practitioners to let their patients know that that's a possibility because a lot of people have heard that acupuncture is good for pain, but they don't realize that it's also good if you're coming down with a cold or, like I said, if you have fertility issues or if you have digestive problems. People hear about it because their friend got acupuncture for one certain reason, so they think it may be only good for one thing. And so it's really important to educate your patients on the fact that acupuncture can treat anything. And most importantly, prevent you from getting sick in the first place or from not feeling well or having, whatever you're dealing with, a negative symptom that gets in the way of your life.
Is that by boosting the immune system?
From a Western standpoint, you could probably say it's from boosting your immune system because that's how we've been taught, like your immune system keeps you healthy. But from a Chinese medicine perspective, we don't give one system all the glory. It's really the functioning of all of the systems together that keeps you healthy. It's a system of checks and balances, really. If everything's working together and working properly, they keep each other in line.
Very interesting. Well, what about the lifestyle? What's the lifestyle like in this job? Is it in this career path? Would you say it's long days, high stress? You were talking about how you have to keep your stress free, so you're not bringing that into the session with a patient or a client. Um, what's the lifestyle like? Is there a life and work balance? Talk about that.
There's a great opportunity for having a life-work balance in this field. Um, a lot of people who want to be practitioners or healers or really help people, they tend to be the kind of people that give, and aren't always good receivers. So that sometimes can skew your work-life balance. A lot of people only want to give and they have a hard time receiving, so they don't give themselves time to relax or time to heal or deal with their own stresses. But since you're in the field of helping and healing, it's a great model for as much work-life balance as you give yourself. So the demand, I think, comes from yourself. Most people in this field are self-employed, so the stress isn't coming from above, isn't coming from bosses or bosses of bosses. It's not usually that sort of a scenario. It's you're self-employed, so you inflict your own stress and you put pressure on yourself.
Makes perfect sense. What about the workplace environment? Is it the kind of thing where it's very casual, you wear what you want, or are you dressed like a Western medical doctor where you're wearing a lab coat and a suit?
Well, in school we had to wear dress clothes and a lab coat as a part of the intern clinic. Now I'm choosing to work in an environment where I can dress comfortably and casually. I don't choose to wear a lab coat. I get to pick the music that's happening in the room, and I set up my own environment, and that goes along with being self-employed as well. So I believe that you could choose whatever kind of environment you want. And there are acupuncturists who work in, say, Western medical offices, and in those environments, they may or may not be required to wear a lab coat. Or they may choose to if they want to be, there's a certain kind of stigma with the white coat, and some people want that included with their stigma and some people don't. So it's really, again, a choice because you are self-employed in most instances. So you can be as professional as you want to be and attract whatever kind of patients you want to have based on that appearance.
So when you're talking about being self-employed, is that even when you're at a clinic like the Dow Healing Arts Center in Santa Monica, where you are you working for yourself at their place, or are you an employee of theirs? How does that work?
I am renting space from them. So I work, in the same environment with other therapists, but I am self-employed. So I'm renting space from them. So work amongst them, but not for them.
And I'm assuming that a place like that, and I'm sure there's many around the country scattered around, a place like that I'm assuming has certain requirements before they would let anyone open shop within their...
Definitely. I work and live in the city of Santa Monica, and Santa Monica itself requires a business license. And you can only get that business license once you are licensed by the state of California to be a licensed acupuncturist. So, there's a specific test I have to go through, and then on top of that, fees and other requirements that the city itself mandates that you are take care of.
And is the herbologist part of it all, is that included in the acupuncturist license, or is that a separate?
It's included. It's included in the scope of practice of a licensed acupuncturist in California. So California has its own state licensing program and requirements. The rest of the United States is licensed under a national licensure. So California is the only state that requires its own specific requirements. Different standard than the rest of the United States.
Okay. I read in my research yesterday that 1979 is the year that first started in California. So that's when it first was getting going over here. So, a little trivia.
I was born in 1979. That must be,
There
I
you
came
go.
in
Maybe
right.
that's yeah, yeah. It was out there. It was meant to be. It was meant to be for you. What
Yes.
about money? Let's talk about money for a minute, because of course everybody
Okay.
watching who's considering doing this for a living wants to make sure they can pay the bills and put food on the table. Um,
Of course.
how do you get paid in this field? Is it an hourly rate? Is it based on you charge the client per hour session or 90-minute session, or is it based on the herbs that you're giving? How does that work?
Usually the treatment itself is a specific price. So per hour or per treatment, the patient pays a certain rate. Um, Most often, I would say that the herbs are a separate price because each person has a different tailored herbal formula. So different herbs cost different amounts of money. So, and it also depends on how many treatments you need and how long you need to take the herbs. So the cost for the patient depends on that, depends on what you're healing, but also then for the practitioner. Um, it depends. Your salary really depends on how many patients you're seeing per day, per week, per month, per year. And usually you're choosing your own price per treatment. There are some regulations in California law that state, there's some regulations on pricing, like you have to be within a certain range of price based on your local area. So depending on what city you're in what state, determines how much you charge. So they're not telling you how much to charge. They just don't want you to be too ridiculously expensive or too ridiculously cheap in any one area. They want you to stay in a certain range. And there's also some other requirements based on, like, you can't have special prices for different groups of people. Basically, you can't discriminate within groups as far as how much you're going to charge people. Um,
In general, would you say that someone practicing holistic health is going to make less money than someone who's a Western medicine doctor?
I think it depends on where you're working. Doctors have a stigma of making a lot of money, and I'm not really sure what the realities are on that. I think it depends on whether you're working in a environment that accepts insurance, if you're getting paid via insurance companies, or if you're taking cash or check only from patients. Um, I think that an acupuncturist or an alternative medicine practitioner can make as much money as a doctor. It's really up to them to choose how much money they want to make.
And are there any ranges that you can give based on just people that you know in the field who are either just doing okay, or some maybe are just really kicking butt at what they're doing? Is there any kind of range so that people could kind of have a good painted picture in their mind of what's out there?
Well, I would definitely say that you choose the amount of money that you want to make because you set your own schedule. So you can choose to make, a couple $100s a week, or you can choose to make much more. And that depends on the environment. I have a friend who works at a fertility clinic, and she mentioned to me that she makes upwards of $10,000 a month working with fertility clients. Now,
Doing
yeah,
acupuncture?
doing acupuncture for fertility patients to help with, complement those Western treatments. And so in her case, fertility treatments are often pretty pricey. And I think that the acupuncture, she can charge more as an acupuncturist in those environments because, like I said, you want your range of treatment costs to be similar to what's around you. So it depends on your environment and also where you live. In California, in Santa Monica, where I live, I can charge more for a treatment than I would if I were giving treatments in Minnesota, where I'm from, or somewhere else in the Midwest. So it's, I would say, proportional to your environment. Yeah, I think it really is. So, but it is up to you. I would say it's also proportional how hard you work or how many patients you see is going to increase your income. There's not a whole lot of passive income with working in this field. Sometimes if you really get people really committed to following an herbal program, you don't have to spend as much time with them because you're not giving them treatments. You might just see them for a consultation to check in with them on their see how they're doing on their diagnosis, and then re-prescribing them herbs, and that takes less time than giving a whole acupuncture treatment, but they still have to pay for the herbs. So you could make more money, I think, by also focusing on herbology as well as acupuncture or massage at the
So
same time.
tell me this: when you're doing the herbology, are you also the pharmacy? Are you also selling? You're prescribing the herbs and selling the herbs. That's my understanding so
You
far.
can, if you choose to do that. In China, traditionally, you're either an acupuncturist or you're an herbologist or you're a moxibustionist or you're a massage therapist. You very much specialize in one tool or one aspect of the field. In California especially, but in the United States, as in the schools that we're in now, we're trained in all of the tools. So it's up to us to choose what we want to focus on. Some people only focus on acupuncture, and some people do everything. Um,
Well, I guess what I'm getting at, what I'm trying to figure out is there a conflict of interest when it comes to prescribing herbs? Because if you're also making money off the herbs, what's to stop someone from in your field from saying you need these 2,000 herbs? Because there's a lot of money then for the practitioner.
I hear what you're saying. I definitely hear what you're saying. Um, I hadn't thought about that. I guess it could be a moral issue that is brought up in that scenario, but I think most people that are out to really help people and their goal is being in service of their patient, that's a non-issue, really. You wouldn't prescribe them every herb in the book because that's not going to be beneficial to them.
Right. Right. Okay. So it's
If
kind of on
somebody
the honor system. It's kind of
it is on the honor system. I mean, I guess there are shady people out there who will charge you for the biggest, most expensive thing just because of the money that they could make. But I don't think that they're going to have return clients because people know when they're getting ripped off and people know when they don't feel better.
true.
If they're taking every herb under the rainbow as well as getting some elaborate treatment that's not really helping them, they're not going to go back to that practitioner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about education? What is necessary? Tell us about the path that someone needs to go down school-wise in order to do what you're doing, in America at least.
In America, I would say after high school, going into a pre-med undergraduate program is probably the most common. Most acupuncture schools, they may or may not require an actual 4-year degree. More importantly, they look at what content your undergraduate studies include. And you need to have anatomy, physiology, biology, psychology, sociology, some math, other sciences. It's a well-rounded, but I would say science-based prerequisite program. And then from there, the acupuncture school is really a master's in Chinese medicine. And that program is 4 years long. It's a pretty intensive program. It's usually 11 or 12 full 16-week semesters fit into 4 years. So you have 3 full semesters in a year with three-week breaks in between those semesters. So it's definitely a very intensive program. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. You have a lot of classes. You're often in class 20, 25 hours a week. And that's before studying time. So it's a pretty intensive program, but it's amazing. It's highly rewarding. And throughout that schooling process, you learn a lot about yourself. And it's a really transformative process personally. You really do have to work on yourself and learn about yourself in order to understand how to help other people
That's great. In talking about the education, do people need to go to a special kind of school, and are there several around America?
Yes, the master's degree in Chinese medicine is a specialized degree, and most schools that offer it only offer this program. They may offer maybe some massage or some complementary therapies along with the master's in Chinese medicine, but it is a specialized program. And there are definitely schools all across the United States. I would say there's probably more in California than anywhere else, and more along the coasts than in the middle, but I know there are schools in most major cities.
And what about licenses and tests that are required for once you're done, once you have your degree? What do you need to do then?
After I got my degree, I took the California acupuncture licensing exam. You know, there's a fee for taking that exam, and that test specifically, when I pass it, allows me to practice in California only. Now, there's also a national licensing exam, and that exam allows you to practice anywhere in the United States. There's also a fee for that. So for California, there's just one exam, and for the nationals, there's actually a series of exams under each category. There's a Western medicine, there's acupuncture, there's theory. So there's different parts to the national exam, and the California exam is just one big test. And the difference is they offer the test only once or twice a year, and the national exam, you sign up for it online and you can take it at specific testing centers pretty much anytime, after you've gotten your degree or towards the end of your degree. So they are different. So depending on what state you want to practice in, it would change how you need to study and what you need to study, and how you're going to take your exam and how much it's going to cost.
What about the best personality type for this? What is the right person to jump into this field?
Can I say one more thing about the test? I was going to say an important thing to know about acupuncture school is that you can get student loans. There are some massage schools and other kinds of alternative therapies that are not covered by federal student loans, but the master's program is covered by federal student loans. At least it was when I was going through it. I know that we've gone through a lot of turmoil in the financial system and economy, but I'm pretty sure that they're still qualified to students are qualified to receive student loans, which was very important in my case, and I appreciated that. So I'm sure many people would.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great advice. Good to know.
I think most schools are probably. When I started, they were quoting around somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 for the whole program, and I would imagine it's gone up. It's been 6 years since I started, so just to put that out there, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. And then what about that question, the personality type? What would you say is the right person to jump into this field?
I would say that this field is a good fit for you if you are somebody who likes to work with people. You definitely need to have an ability to, communicate with people and be willing to communicate with people, in addition to having compassion for them. And it's also important to be somebody who is interested in problem solving, because it's sort of like putting together a puzzle when you're working with somebody, because there's so many different pieces and different aspects of their life that you're looking at. And, you're working with all parts of that to help them along their journey. Yeah, along with that kind of scientific approach, it's also a very beautiful art at the same time. So having an appreciation for the kind of softer, more beautiful things in life is also important. That might sound flowery, but I really think that there's a balance between the two sides. It's very much, it can satisfy your left brain, it can also satisfy your right brain, and it very much takes both types. Like a person that can do both, I think, makes a really great practitioner.
Excellent. Now let's say this all sounds great to me. I'm watching and maybe I'm hearing about this for the first time and I'm really turned on by it. I'm psyched to go down this path. Or maybe I'm even already starting to kind of pursue it. Give some advice to people, whether they're in high school, college, or they're already out there in the real world. What can you tell them they should start thinking about, whether it's classes, extracurricular activities, internships, things that could set them on the right course to do what you do?
Actually, I think the first thing that would be good to do if you're interested in complementary alternative health in general is to receive some treatments yourself. So try out a variety of different practitioners in a variety of different styles. See what resonates with your body. Because although, like I said, acupuncture can treat all sorts of symptoms or illnesses, it's not always the right tool for people. Some people really resonate with taking herbs and healing in that way. Some people really resonate with massage. People are oftentimes afraid of needles, or they have some sort of idea about they're fearful of needles. And in that case, acupuncture is not going to help them as much as somebody who's totally okay with, having an acupuncture treatment. So if for somebody that's interested in this, go experience the medicine for yourself and see what works for you and what seems interesting to you. What kind of practitioner environment would you want to be in? There's many out there, and I think that anybody who's interested has a place.
That makes perfect sense. Absolutely. What would you say, what's the biggest challenge? If you can't handle this, then this path is not for you. What would you say that is?
If you're not the kind of person who can go with the flow and handle anything that comes your way, this may not be for you. A lot of times you don't know who your patient's going to be and what illness they're going to present. So pretty much at the start of, you asked me what a typical day is, and that was a hard question for me to answer, because if I'm seeing new patients, I don't really know what I'm up for that day. Or I just have to decide I'm up for anything, and then I have to see what walks in the door. And sometimes you get really crazy people. And sometimes people are really stubborn and challenging, and, they don't want to change anything about their life, but they don't want to be in pain anymore. And, a lot of times it's their life that's creating their pain. And so you have to be really flexible, but yet stern a lot of the time, because people are coming to you for help, and you have to be honest with them about what they really need, what will really help them. And, at the same time, trying to give them the support and empower them to take on their own healing for themselves. So there's a lot of challenges. I find them, interesting and inspiring and rewarding, but at times, they're rough, and I need my own support system in order to process them and come to the right conclusion for people. It's a lot of trial and error, educated trial and error, but it's trial and error nonetheless, and a lot of recovery. There are a lot of shocking things that happen to people in the world, and as a practitioner, you have to be open enough to hear them and listen to them without reacting. Like, people are sharing some really deep trauma with you sometimes, and that can be challenging to listen and understand how to support them through that. So
Tell me this, because I've asked other doctors this question, I've interviewed a few doctors now. As a recruiter, you're helping connect people who are already working professionals. You're helping move them from one place to another. Maybe it's with attorneys, maybe you're going from one law firm to another, from a big one to a small one, maybe you're going to a company. But in meeting with these people and in building up your candidate base, you're getting to know intimate details about things like career, what it means to them, what they want out of life, so that you can help make that perfect match for them. Because essentially, as a recruiter, you're a matchmaker for people. One of the things I enjoyed was that level of intimacy, that people are sharing really intense stuff with you. With you, it's probably even more intense, because the medical issues are even more private. Does that give you, for me, this worked, it gave me a higher level of appreciation for my job. Does it do the same for you? Does it make you feel better about what you do?
I think that it does. I mean, I feel honored and a little special that people trust me enough to share those sometimes deep, dark secrets with me. Their interpersonal workings. It's definitely an honor.
Yeah, I always felt that way too, and every doctor I've talked to has said the same thing. That helps raise their level of appreciation of their work. Walk us through some other related career paths. If somebody's saying, this all sounds cool to me, but this herbology stuff sounds like just too weird. Um, let's say they want to focus on certain things. They can be just an acupuncturist, right? Or just a massage therapist, just a yoga instructor. Um, Tell us some other
Yeah,
things.
definitely. I mean, if you go to acupuncture school, you are going to learn all of the, well, not all. You learn about 300 to 400 different herbs, as well as all the theory and all the acupuncture points, as well as most of Western medicine theory and diseases, and on top of that, a few other tools and modalities. So, if you're looking into Chinese medicine, it's kind of all or nothing at this point in this country. Now, for other fields, you could definitely learn, be a massage therapist and learn a variety of different styles of massage, or you could focus on one. You could become a yoga teacher, and there are a lot of different styles of yoga as well that are out there to focus on. Let's see what else. There are, people that focus more on energy work, like Reiki practitioners or medical Qigong practitioners. And medical Qigong is Chinese medicine and working with the same energy. It's just a little more hands off, and you don't use needles, but close to the same. You could be still in medicine and not necessarily doing Chinese medicine. You could be like a doula or a midwife, which are more holistic forms of like an OBGYN.
Tell your story about your travels, because I think it's really interesting. If you could keep it brief, but also tell us about how you after mastering yoga, you went over to India to both do acupuncture treatments and teach yoga. Is that right?
Yeah, it worked out really great. I graduated from acupuncture school, so now I have a degree in Chinese medicine, and I have a tool set that I can use anywhere in the world. As long as I have a healthy body and or some acupuncture needles, I can give treatments anywhere in the world. So I'm transportable. My career is very transportable. But in addition to that, I was certified as an acro yoga instructor. So that gave me a whole nother tool set to provide people with a blend of yoga, acrobatics, and Thai massage. So after school, I needed a little bit of a placation, shall we say, and I chose to travel across the United States and also India and Europe to teach people acro yoga, as well as give treatments and massages to people that I met along the way. So I guess I kind of became a traveling yoga teacher and healer all at the same time. It
It had
was
to be a
great.
great experience.
Yeah, I met a lot of different people, and I got to offer a lot of different treatments. I learned a lot about myself, and again, I learned a lot about what I didn't want to do with myself. I learned that floating around didn't serve me
Right?
as much as, I mean, it was fun for a while, and I learned that I really wanted to be a part of a community and, have a patient base that I could see more than once. So it was very rewarding and fun.
That's great. Well, what now? What's the next step for you? Where do you want to take this?
I would like to continue to increase the awareness of the public of Chinese medicine, of acro yoga, yoga in general, all holistic health therapies. Um, I'd like I'd like everybody to know that they have the ability to get out of pain or help themselves with anything that they're experiencing that they don't want to experience anymore. I don't think that anybody should live with uh, be in disease or in discomfort. I would like to educate people that they can enjoy their lives and feel good in their bodies and in their minds and in their hearts.
I like that goal. If someone's coming out of school now and they want to get started, what should they be doing? What angle should they take? What are some tips you could give them?
I would say that it's important to be clear about what you want for your life. Be clear about how much money you want to make. Be clear about how much you want to work, how often you want to work. Be clear about what type of patients you want to see, maybe what kinds of illnesses you want to treat, what kind of environment you want to work in. And I think it's more important to look at what you want versus what you think your possible employer might want or need. Because if you're doing what serves you best, you're going to find very easily the place that works best for you.
Yeah, that's good advice. You love what you do.
I totally love what I do. I enjoy it very much.
What are some keys to success? Leave us with some keys to success for your path.
I think no matter what interests you, it's most important to be honest with yourself and trust your intuition and do what really excites you and what you're passionate about. Don't let other people or your mind skew you into thinking that you should do something or you shouldn't do that. You know, really just be honest with yourself and listen to your heart and find out where your joy is coming from and pursue that. It may change over time, but continue to evolve with that desire and with that passion.
Excellent advice. Excellent.
My heart has led me to the right place, so I very much trust it, and I want to help others to do the same.
Very good. Everyone at Careers Out There, this is what you get. You get real advice from real professionals like Sarah Vosen here. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us at Careers Out There.
Thank you, Mark.